Hello and welcome to an incredible live with one of my favorite people in the world, of course, Beverley Jones from Awaken. So, Beverley, you have had an amazing journey recently with a relaunch and lots of new stuff going on. So, we're going to be talking about that. But first of all, just for people who've been under a rock and don't know who you are and what you do, please just introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Bev Jones and I run a company called Awaken, and I've run it for the last 12 years, which is just incredibly mad, really, because it doesn't feel like 12 years.
Successful, I would call it.
It is successful. Yeah, it's successful. But it's like you get to that point where you think, I can't actually go and apply for any startup awards anymore. And you're like, okay, then maybe I'm not
Do
starting.
they do lifetime award like they do on Brits Awards and things?
That's it. Yeah, I could get like a president's award or a lifetime award, or loads of things like that. But yeah, it's been 12 years, and in those 12 years I've just been helping people to basically not go where I went, which was through burnout. And I've done that in all sorts of ways, which I know we're going to talk about here. But that's basically what I do, is to not, help people not to go there, because it's not a nice place. And I turn my life around, and I hopefully help other people do the same. I think I do. Got quite a few testimonials that say I do. So
you certainly got a testimonial from myself as well. So that brings me on actually to how it all started and your book, which you wrote when you were in really dark place. And having read the book, I want to go on to talk about why you wrote the book and why you thought it was important to share the book. So first of all, the book is called Made It Through the Rain. And I said, you've got it there. I've given away my copy to somebody who really needed it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you your very own copy, because that was Jamie's copy. So I'll give you a signed copy of it, all for your very self.
The Jamie's copy has travelled, and I'm really pleased to say that it has, because people need the book out there. And if you've read it and you feel that you've got somebody, and I actually know one of our other members who phoned me up, and her friend was in a really dark place and she didn't know what to do, and she got the book from you to give to her friend, and it helped him from suicide attempt. And that is how much the book can help people. So that's just one person that I know that you helped, apart from myself. So tell us why you wrote the book and the experience of the book.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the book back in 2012. So it's due another one now, really, 10 years on. But I wrote it because I'd been through burnout myself. So I ended up going through burnout in 2009, 2010. And it wasn't just stress, and it wasn't just anxiety. It was the fact that I didn't think I wanted to be here anymore. I didn't think my life was worth it. I was self-harming. I was in a really bad, I became an alcoholic, but I drank far too much, if that makes sense. So every night I'd reach for a glass of wine. I was eating junk food, and I just spiraled out of control my whole life until I ended up at the doctors with clinical depression and severe anxiety brought on by burnout. And over that time, I kind of had to take a year out. I couldn't do anything else. I had to take a year out. Took a year to kind of, I would say, start recovering, because back then, I thought it would just take that time, but it didn't. It obviously took a lot longer in hindsight. I was on medication. I went for counselling. I did all that stuff. But I got chatting to somebody who said, you need to put it in a book. You need to tell people this story. You need to share it. You need to let people know, do you know what I mean, what's going on. Well, at that time I couldn't, and I just felt still in the mess that I was, I suppose. But in 2010, I started Awaken, and things started to turn. So I started to feel a bit better. I got into a new relationship in 2011. And when I got to 2012, things had really started to turn around. And I say started because it took a long time, as I said, but started to turn around. And at that point, I felt okay to write the book, which is what I did. And I wrote it for two reasons. One was to help people who were going through it, because it's a very lonely place. And I certainly felt like no one else in the world was going through it, because if they were going through it, then I would see that in their face. I would see that in their emotions. I would pick up on it. But nobody picked it up with me. And so I realized that actually people out there don't know themselves that they're even going through it. So I kind of wanted to give a book, or write a book, that would let people go, God, it's not just me. it's okay not to be okay. I really am not the only person in the world feeling this way. So that was one reason. And the second reason was to give it to people who are living, who are living with you, your carers, your supporters, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about it. And I think it's very easy for people to say, oh, you'll be all right tomorrow, you'll get over it. And when you're living with somebody with it, it is a hard journey. And I thought if I write it and they read the book, they could see what it was really like, how it feels, what it's like, without hearing it from the person they're living with. Does that make sense? Because sometimes you can't talk the same. Whereas if you say, read this book, this is how I'm feeling, somebody else is explaining the story. So that was the two reasons really, to help both parties.
Yeah, and you know what? It's exactly like that. It's exactly what happened to me. So I was given the book by Jamie, and he could see signs of what was going on. I had no idea what I was going through. I had no idea that I was on the verge of signs to burnout. And I was given the book, and I do apologize for anyone listening in because there's some banging going on outside. So apologies. I'm not just hitting anything in the office. So, but by actually being given the book, I could then identify the signs that you talked about, the experience that you were going through, which is the way I kind of felt I was going into. I was one of the lucky ones because by being given the book, I recognized the signs, recognized my situation, and was able to take myself out of the situation I was in and move forward. And this is exactly like I was saying with one of the other members who gave a complete stranger to us, as Seen Bounds, but she contacted me, gave the book to somebody because she was just at her, she just didn't know what else to do to help this person. And I said, because the person like myself wouldn't have come to you as a mentor to talk to you, because I didn't actually know, like you said, I did not know that there was anything wrong. I thought it was just a bit of stress, and it just got too much and it would be okay soon. But actually it wasn't going to be okay soon. And it took me, just working with myself and self-development of various kinds to be able to come back to having confidence, and which is something that, you struggle with, or it's challenging for a long time. And I think that's why the book is so incredible, because I wouldn't have gone to somebody to seek help. I would never have gone to the doctors. I didn't speak to any of my friends. Nobody knew what was happening inside me. And like you said, I thought I was the only person. I thought, and I've always, like we've spoken about this, I've always felt like I've been the strong one in the family. I'm always the one that organizes things. I'm always the sort of smiley face outwards. So people didn't know that there was anything wrong. And that is so many people that's going through that. So I think it's an incredible book. And if you know somebody and you're listening into this, I think giving it as a gift to somebody when you see signs that might not be right, it's amazing, because it can really, really help someone, because it is raw and it's quite a dark place. And the book is very much something that you can connect with and realize what it's like to go through burnout.
Yeah. And that's it. That's exactly why I wrote it, was to help people recognize those things. And, as it says in the front, the anonymous quote says, depression isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being strong for too long. And we all keep going. We all keep thinking, we'll be all right, be all right tomorrow. We'll have a bank holiday. That'll be all right now. So you have 4 days off. And you spend the 4 days dreading the Monday, because it's like, oh, really, or we might have one good day out of that 4. So yeah, it's just something that I really want to reach out to people and say, you're all right, you're okay. Together we can do this. We can break it and get it sorted out. So
with your own experience that you had, you said 2012 the business really started to take off. It must have been really hard in the beginning to have the strength and the confidence to set up a business when you're in a quite weak position, not weak, but you're just a bit vulnerable. So how did that come about, and how did you start?
It came about because basically I said I'd never go and work for anybody ever again because I was bullied in work. That was the second, that was part of the whole burnout, and I was in a bad place and bad relationship, all of that. So it all kind of came together. And I thought, well, if I'm not going to work for anyone else, I'm going to have to work for myself. And then I read Sue Stone's book, Love Life, Live Life. And I thought, maybe I could, that's what I want to do. I want to empower other people. I want to be able to help other people. So I trained as a life coach, and then that's when I set it up. But it was tough, and I'm not, I look at it now and I think, well, that was a bit of a crazy decision, really, to start a business when you're already, do you know what I mean? Thought it was the easy way, not going back to work for anybody. And it's like, what am I doing? But yeah, I didn't want to work for anyone, so I never took part-time work. I never did anything. I just literally stuck at my business, and I stuck at it for 12 years now. It's all come together, but even now, obviously, we can talk about the rebranding. It's only recently that I've been able to go, hang on a minute, what hell's been going on? Do you know what I mean? Because it takes a long time to get over it. It's not something you get over overnight. Even writing the book, publishing the book, doing all of that stuff didn't make it go away. Even the lovely life that I've got now with my new partner, with everything, doesn't take it away. It's still there, and it lived with me for a very long time. So
I think it's amazing. And I think the whole experience just shows what you can do for other people as well, to help other people, because you've gone through the journey. And it's not uncommon, because we obviously belong to a lot of different networks, and it's not uncommon journey that people from burnout, or just from sort of having been bullied at work, not necessarily going through burnout experience, but similar experience of signs of that, to open their own business. And one of it, I think, is the confidence of not being wanted and being scared of going for interviews. And are you going to be bullied again, and all those kind of feelings. So it's quite a journey that we come across quite a lot. I think that people kind of take the step to open their own business. So
not even in itself, you'll know, because you've got your own business. It's not easy. You suddenly go from I was a senior manager in a corporate company. I was head of stations here in Wales, ran the whole kind of network with my managers and stuff. And I always had somebody to put the presentations together, or, do the marketing, all of that. But when you get into business and you've got your marketing, your accounts, your sales, all of those other things that you have to do apart from doing the work you want to do, which is the mentoring and all of that. It's all that background stuff that takes a while, I mean, I'm in a position now where I've got people to help me, to employ people to do systems and stuff. But back then I couldn't. I had to do it all myself. And so it's taken, it took a long time to kind of get that back and get my confidence. I didn't tell anyone. When people used to ask me why I'd left my job, I used to just say to people, I just wasn't well. And that was it, and left it at that. And a lot of people actually will never really say what was wrong, because they don't want to, because they don't want to open that can of worms. What could it be? It could be anything, couldn't it? So I found that was the easiest thing to say, was I wasn't well, so I left on ill health. So it became a very easy excuse, and it's only really, I've noticed a massive difference in the last 12 years of being able to now talk about burnout, talk about mental health, talk about my suicide thoughts, talk about my self-harm. I was told by a friend back then, don't talk about it because you'll be judged. Don't mention it. And that's very different. And that's only 12 years ago. That's not long.
No, I think it has changed. I think it's changed dramatically over the lockdown, because everyone became disabled from the world that we knew. And everyone went through a journey in one way or another. And that's when mental health is really, and I really kind of think that that's one of the positives at what we've gone through, because we connect, we collaborate, and we research out and reach out to people. And that's often the thing that you don't do. But I want to come back into, because your journey, your experience have led you to a successful business where you are now. And you work really closely with business owners that have experience, perhaps. So they go through a process of setting up their own business, thinking that is going to be easy. And then a year down the line, 2 years down the line, you kind of hit something and you think, this is not as easy as I thought. So tell us about, how can you, as a mentor, help people and businesses? And what does it mean with the rebranding that you've done 12 years down the line to be able to kind of do what you want to do now in helping people?
Yeah, I mean, I decided back last year that I needed to rebrand, and I did it because I thought, do you know what? I've had enough of listening to this woman bully in my head telling me, you're not good enough, you're rubbish, you're the worst person we ever had. And I thought, no, I'm not. I had 30 years in a corporate career to which I was running, large portions of businesses. I was managing 200 staff. I mentored people through various journeys through, I worked reporting at director level. So I thought, hang on a minute, I need to be stepping out and stepping into myself and getting back to where I was pre all that stuff. So back last year, I decided to rebrand. It's a very different brand. It's stronger. It's more businessy. It's whatever. And I pulled myself into where I think I'm probably most helpful, if you like. And that is in kind of 3 areas. I mean, I speak and I write. They just happen naturally anyway. But I do burnout mentoring, which basically is burnout groups for professional females, and that could be business owners or people that work in large corporates, whichever you fit in. If you're burning out, you're burning out. You could be a parent, you're burning out, you might need help in that. The Awaken Women's Entrepreneurs, and that's the group where obviously, but we've talked about, is where I help business owners to not only go through the stuff of setting up a business, the practicalities, the social media, why you need a website, all of those things, but also the mental health and the stress, what keeps you awake at night. And it's usually because I haven't got enough clients, am I going to be able to pay the rent, all of that stuff. And I help you through that. I help you look at different ways that you can do that. I help you through, let's have a look at where you can change your marketing, where you can change your social media. As you know, I've got a huge book of connections, massive book of connections. And I love connecting people. I can say to people, right, okay, you're looking to do this, speak to this person, speak to that person, join this network. I run networks myself, as you know, with 12 Vine Breakfast. So I'm all about helping other people because, again, when I was starting out, I couldn't afford help. I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know who I could go help. Can you help me do this? I need help with this website. I didn't know any of that. And there's so many people out there who don't know that stuff. And I'm here to say, look, I learned all this, get to where I am today in a lot shorter time than I took.
And I think, and with the Awaken Business Entrepreneurs, it's such a lovely group because people really do want to support each other. And it's not about networking or anything. Of course, that comes into it, but it's more about being able to be honest in the group of what you experience being challenges as well. And I think those groups are quite far between of the support that you can get, because you can get the support within networking, which is great. We both love networking. Obviously, we run an online community, which is also, but it's in a smaller group sometimes, I think, where you can really open up and say,
and you can really be honest
with you. And
you can cry. If you want to cry, you can cry. It's okay to cry in my groups.
We've had all of it. So I know that you've got amazing things going on at the moment, but there is a particular seminar that's happening soon for people that have experienced all the things that we've been talking about. So tell us a little bit about the seminar, please, Bev.
It's called Recognizing the Path to Burnout. It's next Wednesday at 7:00. It's a week today. It's free. It's on for an hour, 7 till 8 in the evening. So if you work in the day, you can come along. And it's basically me sharing my experience in depth about those 7 signs that you should be looking for, about help, about self-care, about, how just you can get help. You can help. It starts with you and all of that stuff. So, yeah, that's what the seminar is really about. But it's about highlighting really the pathway to burnout and getting people to go, that's me, the amount of people that I've done. And, I do public speaking. The amount of people that I've spoken to and have come up to me afterwards and said, because of you, I rang the doctor. Because of you, I reached out. Because of you, I spoke to my manager and got it sorted out. And that's job done for me. That's it. So,
It's job satisfactory at a different level, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, somebody said to me once about reoccurring clients, you know, and I've got so many reoccurring clients because they've become friends, to be totally honest. Do you know what I mean? Once I get people in my network, I just stay there for people. I don't kind of, you know, but in some respects, if my clients keep reoccurring and keep paying me time after time after time, I don't think I've done what I'm supposed to do. You know, my aim is to get people to live life in flow, to live it much simpler, to understand what's going on for them, to, you know, all of those things. And once you get to that point, yeah, maybe a year or so down the line, you might want to chat or whatever, or have a quick call, but you shouldn't want to go through it endless. People shouldn't need coaching 2 years on, you know, continually, because people, surely you should be helping them move on. That's what I want to do. I want people to move on and to start enjoying their life and to get where, you know, I'm today. So
I think that's absolutely, and I know that's kind of your aim. So I just want to touch on the seminar that you're running, because I know it's for, so is it for people that think they're going through burnout, or can it also be for people that might have a friend or a partner or a colleague that they think is going through burnout?
Anyone. You know, like I said, I work with predominantly females now, but I do have a great colleague, a gentleman called Rob, who you know, and he looks after the males that I meet. So if anybody's out there and you're a bit concerned that, you know, I feel like that, but actually I'm a male and she only helps females, that's not the case on this call. The seminar is for everyone. Burnout is burnout, whether you're male or female. But I do work with a male coach who is there offering very similar help and support for people. So it can be anybody. It can be, you can live with somebody you think might be going through it. You can work with somebody you might want to think about, you know, if they got it. So it's just about recognizing the signs for yourself, for other people, for work colleagues, for family. You know, if you can come along and recognize the signs, then you're on a good starting point. Really,
that's amazing. And to have that as a full webinar in the evening, I think is something that really people could take part of, whether you think you're going through it or whether you think somebody in your circle or family colleague is going through something, or even if it's just a few signs. Because like we mentioned earlier, you've helped people, and I know that you've helped people just by giving, you know, having the book to someone can really help somebody who is having all sort of hard thoughts of suicide attempt or anything that's going with the signs of burnout. So I really just want to say a massive thank you, Beverley, for coming on the show and sharing your experience as well, and sharing what you can help people with, because I've seen it so many times that people have started up and then get a little bit stuck and need that help and support to move forward. So yeah, massive thank you to you, and I hope the seminar goes really well, and we would love to hear feedback. So we got a lovely comment that's just come in that I'm going to bring up. And Bev's mentoring group is well worth joining if you're starting a business or need some guidance, advice or support from Bev and fellow members. It's a very supportive group of women, and I totally agree, Catherine. And I know
thank you, Catherine.
It is a group where you can totally be yourself, and what we say in the group kind of stays within the people that are members.
No judgment. No,
exactly. Nothing. So that's what we're all about. So if you're watching this on replay and want to connect with Bev, she is part of cenobounds.co.uk. Where else can they find you, Bev?
If you check out my website, www.awakenmentoring.co.uk, you can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. If you are in business and you just want a friendly kind of group online, as well as obviously the See No Bounds community, hop on to the Awaken Business Club, because that's just a very interactive group of members. There's about 400 and something in it. But yeah, always happy for people to share things in there. So